Hi, my name is Sam Swenson, and welcome to my capstone project, the Brown Wellness Center for First Responders. Did you know that 30% of first responders develop conditions like PTSD and depression, which is compared to 20% of the general public? And 70% of first responders said that there wasn't enough time to properly recover between traumatic events. In this presentation, I will be introducing my project, going over my research, talking about my problem and my design brief, going through my process, showing you my final solution, and finally recapping. So, to introduce this project, I need to talk a little bit about Nick Brown. He is an integrative medicine nurse practitioner, and he seeks to help the health and wellness of the community, both mentally and physically. This was his idea, and he wants to bring this building to life. So I am here to help build out what this building could look like so that he has visuals to show other people. He provided me with the architectural program so that I knew what rooms to put in the building when I started this project. From there, I created a project premise, which is to design a wellness center to meet both physical and mental needs. And it's designing to make people feel safe and relaxed to aid in the wellness process. And finally, to incorporate natural elements to help people recover better. So to further understand this project, we need to know who the users of the building would be. They are first responders and building staff. First responders are at a higher risk for physical and mental trauma, and they need a building that's going to help them while not making them more stressed. Building staff, on the other hand, need easy access to the staff portions of the building, and they need a break room that's away from the action so they can properly rest while they're on their break time. So now that we've been introduced a little bit to the project, we need to dive into the research to really figure out what the root of the problem is. To do this, we dive deeper into the user. In this case, it's Jeremy, a part-time paramedic. He loves to help his community, and he loves the high-action environment that being a paramedic provides. He also loves spending time with his family. And he needs a place that is easy to go for physical training, has a better program to help him recover from trauma, and ideally, it's a place he can bring his family to work out with him. So, what does his journey look like? Well, first, he starts his training as a paramedic and learns that he is about the trauma that he will face on the job, and that he needs to seek out recovery programs when he is faced with that. Otherwise, it'll just fester and get worse for him. He also learns about some physical regimens that he can put into place so that he can help mitigate injury on the job. So he goes out and gets a gym membership and starts putting those physical regimens into place. Then he faces trauma on the job. And so, like his training suggested, he went out and sought some help in a peer group program. But that program didn't help because he didn't feel comfortable sharing how he felt with a bunch of total strangers to him. So then he had to go research other solutions. So as you can see, there are a few key obstacles to this problem. First, you cannot be prepared for a traumatic event, which for this project means that we need to focus more on the recovery side of the issue. Then, not all solutions work for everyone. In the case of Jeremy, the peer group didn't really help him, so then he had to go searching for something else. And finally, mental wellness requires talking about how you feel to get help, which most people don't like to do. So, what are some current solutions? Well, the International Association of Firefighters has a recovery center. It is led by former firefighters and professionals, and it's surrounded by nature, meaning that it's a program that is run by people who've experienced the same things that the first responders are going through, so they can give personal testimony and help to help people out of the trauma they have faced. And it's in an environment that fosters good recovery. Second, there's mantherapy.org, which communicates mental wellness in a way that men get by breaking down the mental barriers that men have when addressing mental needs. And finally, there are local training and recovery programs. These help talk through trauma with others, often in the form of a peer group. They're run by local organizations, which often can be small, and they stress the importance in the training of seeking out help when you are faced with trauma so that it doesn't sit there and get worse for you. But there are some failures to these solutions. Some, like the Recovery Center, are only for specific first responder groups and not all. That Recovery Center is only for firefighters and does not cover paramedics and police. Some, like mantherapy.org, are online only, which can be a great benefit as it's easy to access. But in the case of mental wellness, people might need that face-to-face interaction to get the proper care that they need. Others are not local. Once again, the Recovery Center, you'd have to travel away from your family to get the help that you need, which could be a hindrance to you. Then, a lot of the local programs are often underfunded because they're small and don't have a large budget for this. This means that they might not be able to provide the care that everyone needs to help them with the traumatic experiences that they face. And finally, there are recovery programs that are paid, which just adds an additional barrier that you have to cross to get the help that you need as a paramedic. So, what are some insights that I've gained from my research? First, most resources are in small programs. Second, physical and mental needs are not addressed in the same place. Third, you cannot be prepared for a traumatic event. And fourth, people don't like to share how they feel. So, now that we've gone over the research, we can start to begin figuring out how we are going to solve this problem. First, this can be done through the design brief, which is to design a wellness center for first responders to meet the physical and mental wellness needs that they require, and to design the environment to make them feel safe and relaxed to aid in recovery. From there, I utilized some key principles of trauma-informed design to come up with some more design guidelines that I wanted to solve for in my building. These are safe, accessible, visibility and openness, soft symmetric forms, clear signage, soft cocooning furniture, family-friendly, and finally, incorporating natural elements. From here, I came up with a key theme that I wanted to carry forward throughout all of my design, and that is a modern design with biophilia. If you don't know, biophilia is designing the environment with natural elements incorporated into it, whether this is real elements like plants, or whether it's simulated in the form of images or videos. And biophilia is important, as many studies have shown, because it helps foster a sense of recovery and helps people recover better, as well as helping people feel more relaxed and comfortable. So now that we've gone over my research, I want to tell you a little bit about my process. It started with the floor plan. When I started with this project, I was given an initial floor plan, but it had a lot of dead-end hallways, which isn't quite up to fire code. So I redesigned it by grouping the rooms into different departments, and then creating a bunch of long hallways that ended in exits so it's more up to fire code. And this also allowed for a more open and flowing floor plan that is easier to navigate. Then I moved on to the site plan, which, since there's no specific site for this building, I created a theoretical plan that incorporates a lot of natural trees and plants around the building, so that even in a city, this can feel like a very natural environment. I also created drop-off points, parking, and supply drop-off points as well. Moving closer to ideation, I gathered a few precedent images to help guide my design further, focusing on key themes like natural materials like moss and wood, natural colors, and a modern look. Then, I created a material board to further help guide my ideation, once again focusing on natural materials like wood and moss, and also natural light in the forms of glass and fake skylights to help brighten the space. Then, I moved into ideation, first for the exterior, starting with some very quick forms to get a sense of what the building could look like, and refining it down until I had a modern look that was welcoming. Then, after that, I moved on to the interior ideation, where I focused on the interaction between the colors and materials and how they would look in the space. I ideated here to get a general sense of what the spaces would look like before I moved into 3D. Then, moving into my 3D modeling, I started by modeling the exterior of the building, which at first looked very aggressive and bland. So I refined it down, thinning some of the thicker beams until it seemed a lot more welcoming and natural. Then, for the interior, I ideated further by building out the spaces, once again ideating further on the different interaction between the colors and materials, as well as adding in the furniture until it fit the needs of the user. So, now that we have gone through my process, I am proud to present the Brown Wellness Center for First Responders. As we go through this, I will be sharing it from the perspective of Jeremy. So this is Jeremy's perspective as he's walking up to the building. There's the trees and plants around that really complement the natural materials of the building itself. As he moves around to the back, he can see the outdoor spaces. These are equipped with 3 pickleball courts and an open exercise area. Since it's a nice day, most likely Jeremy's going to come outside and work out here. As he moves inside, he is immediately greeted with the front sign that points him toward the check-in desk on the left. It also has clear navigation to show him which direction he needs to go for any of the rooms on the first floor. The planter also helps greet him and set the tone of the building as a very welcoming and natural feel. He checks in and sits down in the lounge area. This is equipped with lots of comfortable furniture, which is a great rest after his long day at work. He sits here as he waits for one of his other first responder friends so that they can go work out together. When his friend shows up, they grab a coffee at the Restful Roast Cafe and sit back down to drink their coffee before their workout. The fake skylights, mural, and plants help really create a relaxing feel that brings the outdoors inside. After they're done their coffee, they move on to the open exercise area, where, since it's a nice day, they go through the open garage doors to the outdoor workout patio and work out there for a bit. Then afterward, they come back inside to use the workout equipment inside. And if they're feeling adventurous, they might use the rock wall at the back of the room later on. Some of the other rooms on the first floor are the locker room, which is located right off the open exercise area. So that you can easily change before and after your workouts, and you're right there ready to go. Next to that is the exercise studio, which is equipped with lots of treadmills so that if you need to do running, you can do it there. And especially if it's a rainy day, you won't want to be doing it outside. Then there's the classroom, which is located off of the main lobby. This classroom is versatile and it can be used for any recovery programs, or it can be used as a cooking classroom as it is located right next to the kitchen. Finally, in the bottom right is an example of what one of the bathrooms could look like in this building. And later that week, going back to Jeremy's story, he brings his family with him to the building, where they go to the pool area to have a great time and hang out, while also getting plenty of exercise. The space is very bright and warm with the natural materials around. It really helps make it an enjoyable and exciting place to be, and especially a great place to spend time with your family. Next, moving to the second floor, we have the check-in desk where Jeremy can check into any appointments that he has on this floor. And when he's done with those appointments, he can go right across from there to the pharmacy if he needs to pick up any meds, rather than having to go to another building. Then, behind that, as he is waiting for his appointments, he could sit down in the waiting room, which is equipped with lots of comfortable furniture and a really relaxing natural environment. Really help calm and relax you before your appointments. And it has many chairs that are back facing the wall, so you can be looking out over the whole room and feel a lot safer that way. Then, when he's called to his appointment, he can walk across to the other side of the staircase, where there's signage pointing to all the departments on this floor and where the rooms are located, so he can easily navigate to where his appointment is. If his appointment is physical testing, he can go to the exercise therapy department, where he can be tested to see if his body is in peak physical shape. This room is equipped with all the equipment necessary, as well as plenty of space for both staff and patients to move around in. If Jeremy came for recovery, he can go to the spa area, which is the key part of the recovery center. Here, he can recover from physical injuries, and because of the natural organic environment around him, it also serves as a great place to de-stress from the mental trauma that he may have faced. Moving on to the clinic department, we have an example of one of the exam rooms that Jeremy could wait in if he has a physical checkup. This room feels a lot less clinical due to the wood and the stone tiling that really help give it a more homey feel and help it feel a lot more comfortable and relaxing to help calm the patients as they're at their appointments. Similarly, the X-ray room utilizes a lot of warm tones and natural colors, to really help calm the patients as they are being tested on, to help them de-stress a bit from the stressful times that they might be having. Then, for the staff section of the building, it is located in the back corner of the top floor, which especially for the break room is good because it allows the staff to really rest and be away from the action while they're on their break. And for the office, I created it so that it could be used to help people deal with traumatic events by having side-by-side seating across from the desk. So a therapist and a patient can be side by side and have a more natural conversation, which fosters good conversation by making the patient feel a lot safer, and it helps them to open up and share how they feel more so they can get the help they need. In conclusion, let's recap what we have gone over. The design brief is to design a wellness center for first responders to meet the physical and mental needs that they require, and to design the environment to make them feel safe and relaxed to aid in recovery. Going back to Jeremy's journey, first, he got training, which told him about the trauma that he would face and that he needs to seek out help when he's faced with that trauma. Then, it also told him about some physical regimens to put into place to help mitigate injury. So he got a gym pass and started working out and putting some of those into place. Then, when he was on his job, he was faced with a traumatic event. So he sought out a local peer group program, but because he wasn't comfortable sharing how he felt with strangers, it didn't really help him. So he had to go find other options. Well, now he has another option with the Brown Wellness Center, where he can go either with family or with other first responder friends to work out so he's in peak physical shape for his job. But he still might get injured, and if he does, he can go upstairs in the building and get the help he needs in the clinic department from people who are trained and work with first responders regularly. Then, when he is faced with a traumatic event, he can come back to this building that he's already used to going to and can sign up for one of the recovery programs and there get more natural conversations with people with the side-by-side seating, as well as an environment that just fosters recovery and safety, where he can feel safe enough to share how he feels with people he may not know that well in an environment that he's familiar with, so that he can get the help that he needs to recover from his traumatic events. In conclusion, the Brown Wellness Center supports first responders by giving them a place to physically train to mitigate injuries while providing physical and mental care for when they do experience injuries and trauma. Thank you.